And tantrum now.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay, you want to go or do I want to go?
I could go.
Okay.
That way I'll get it out of the way and then I can just relax for the rest.
Yeah, pick up the beers.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have presentation on reverb that I am sharing with Krysztof. I can also talk about some interesting stuff that's been happening lately, and even share a work that I created that I also messed up, but you know, there's that. File under how to create something in a real hurry and make it sound legit. I guess, you know what, I'll start with the reverb stuff and we'll get all that stuff out of the way.
Yeah. It's always, I think it's always great to hear examples of stuff.
Why don't just for the purposes of the agenda, guys, why don't we, as much as possible to the agenda itself, like, so you and Krysztof did the reverb thing, I'll do my presentation, and then we'll have like a sharing at the end about what kind of stuff.
Okay, so do the things, and then you'd show us the piece of music that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, that makes sense. That's smart. He works for the government, or did work for the government.
I used to work for the government.
Now he sits in that chair all day, noodling.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to launch in. I'm going to kind of race through it because this is more an introduction rather than, you know, a in-depth thing at reverb, and then a look at a few reverb plugins and a couple of tricks, and then Krysztof's going to take over and show some other cool plugins, a couple that I'm really stoked to hear about. All right, launching in. What is reverb? Reverb is how a sound responds in a space. When you have a direct sound, like when I'm speaking, sound waves travel out and they bounce off of things, usually solid objects. There are the number of bounces that a sound can do, because it can bounce off one wall and then off the ceiling and then another wall and then come back to me. The things that only bounce once are often referred to as your initial reflections, and then all the other stuff is your late reflections. A lot of reverb boxes and plugins and whatnot are basically just a bunch of digital delays, taking a signal and then delaying it by just a little bit. And so instead of getting discrete echoes, when you get enough of them together, they kind of smear together, and that creates that sort of reverb wash. And there's a bunch of factors that will affect how reverb sounds. Obviously, there's the size of the room and the shape of the room. Smaller rooms will have a shorter reverb tail because the sound has less to travel, going forward to a wall and coming back. The materials that the room is constructed of also will have an effect on things. If there's a lot of fabric or furniture that's stuffed, like the futon I'm sitting on, that'll absorb a lot of high frequencies, so it will sound warm by comparison to something that was like a hall made out of mirrors and marble, where the surfaces are highly reflective. And so there's various tricks that people can do to sort of simulate all these different spaces. As well, the inherent physical dimensions of the space will also dictate, well, you're going to get a spike at this particular frequency. You're going to have resonances that will make a room sound like the Taj Mahal will sound like this, but the Tabaret Hall will sound like that. And maybe they're the same size relatively, but just the way the things are apportioned and whatnot will dictate that sound. So I'm going to share, and hopefully this will go relatively well. Apparently you've disabled participant screen sharing.
Did I? Oh, did you pay your monthly fee?
Sorry, sir. You'll get your scotch in a second. There it is. Okay. So, and let's share computer sound.
Yeah.
Optimize screen.
They supposedly
Share.
they did something with the computer sound to improve it recently.
Right.
Yes. As Zoom.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, there we go. Our old friend.
You can see my screen on Logic.
Yeah.
And hopefully nothing embarrassing is showing up. And
No.
I'm just going to test sound. How about I unmute something so that we can hear it? Can y'all hear that?
I'm not getting anything, buddy.
It's just, did you change your preferences in Logic to go to the Zoom device?
Yeah.
Thank you. And aggregate device, Zoom device. Apply. Thank you.
Logic is super fast, eh?
It's getting there. Okay, can you hear that now?
Oh yeah, great.
Okay, so that is completely dry. So basically all I did, Logic comes with a bunch of free loops. So I found the, one terminology you'll come up with, up against with reverb and other effects is dry versus wet. Dry is the direct signal where there's nothing happening to it. Wet is the affected signal. So I tried to find the driest loops that I could. Calling forth on, sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. Behold, my mixer. So there's a couple of ways you can do reverb. One is you can do it as an insert, and the other way you can do it is as a send and receive. So with an insert, this is that vocal track that we're listening to. Again, it's just a preset loop, and I have a insert on there, and yes. There we go.
Oh yeah, you've got. Oh yeah, there. What is? Oh, that's your reverb.
Yep.
Right.
And let's call it up. Now this is a free reverb that I absolutely love. Hang on, let's dial that back a little, or a lot.
That's pretty.
Yeah. Now you'll see that there's several different kinds of reverb that refers to the different types that of things that this software is trying to emulate. A plate is one way that they used to simulate reverb back in the old days was to get a sheet of metal. Often it was, actually, I can't remember the material.
Wasn't it aluminum?
I think it was aluminum, mainly because of the weight, but there were some that were steel. So you'd have this sheet, and you'd fix on one end or somewhere on this sheet something called a transducer, which is like a mini speaker. The idea is it would set the sheet to vibrating. And then elsewhere on the sheet, you'd have a couple of microphones that would pick up the sound. And that was one way that they created the sound. So when you see something referred to as a plate, that's what it refers to. A lot of people like plates used on vocals, sometimes on snare, but really there's no rules. Use whatever sounds good to you, and different genres of music will use different things. Rooms and halls are kind of the same sort of deal. The earliest possible reverb that was developed was simply find a room, put a speaker in it, and put a mic at the other end, and pump your music through the speaker and then pick it up on the mic on the other end. And in fact, a lot of old time studios had special chambers created specifically for that, and they became notorious with that sound. Now, the problem with, let's say I had, the problem with doing an insert reverb on every single channel is eventually my computer is going to say, okay, you're having me process an awful lot. Do you really want to do that? So while you can do this sometimes, like say you want to do this very dreamy guitar type thing, and you only ever want to affect the guitar, you might throw it on there. That might be one reason for doing it. Otherwise, if you're going to have a bunch of things where you're like, I really want this, you'll see in a little bit, I've got a string quartet. I really want them all to sound like they're in the same space. It's better to do it as a bus mix. Actually, why don't I go to that right now? Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. All right, so I'm going to mute that, and I'm just going to get rid of you for a second. And let's crank up my loop and unmute all of you little beautiful things.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So this is just a prefab orchestral loop kind of thing. Is it coming through okay? Is it distorting or anything?
Yeah.
It's a bit hot.
Is it? Okay,
Just
let me
a
bring it.
touch for my ears. I don't know others.
Okay, let me bring it down by, is that better?
Yeah, because we can hear you now.
Yeah, and that works for you?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Great.
So let's go back to Mr. Mixer here. Sorry, I just got to do some housekeeping here on my own screen to get rid of something.
Should we avert our eyes?
No, I just had to get rid of stuff. So we've got these channels here. I've got a cello, a viola, and violin 1 and 2.
Nice.
And just for giggles, let's do some panning. Why not? Because now this is probably improper positioning for an actual ensemble. So there is a little bit of reverb on these, but
yeah, pretty dry.
But it is pretty dry. Let's say I want to get them all into a same space. I've got, what I would want to do is create a reverb send, and I've actually already done so. So let's use bus 2, which is where I've got that ACON verb that we were using before. All right, so I'm going to put it in a hall. I'm actually going to bump up the reverb just so we can hear what's going on, and we can adjust to taste afterwards. So let's start with the cello.
We're not seeing your mixer.
You're not seeing the mixer?
No.
Interesting.
Are you full screen on both the mixer and the...
Not full screen on the mixer. I can pop it up.
Oh, there it is.
There, you got a mixer.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and then I've lost my sound though.
Oh.
Can you just, in terms of, just hit play?
Yeah. Hang on,
Also,
let me try.
So when you go to the mixer, your sound goes off.
Yeah, let me try that again and see if I can start it. I wonder if it's just a weird glitch. No, unfortunately, gang, looks like...
So get back to the other page. And
yeah.
Do you have a key command for mixer on that page? X?
No, I think it's command 2. Yeah.
Just to bring the mixer up from that one window.
Did the mixer come up?
No.
Okay. You know what? I'll do it from the arrangement window.
Okay.
For example, can you see where my mouse is moving?
Yeah.
So, cello, I've rolled in a whole bunch of reverb on the cello.
Right.
Now I'm going to do the same thing on the viola. It was 2, I believe. And let's throw some on.
Okay.
And so now, in a sense, they're all in the same space. They're all going through the same reverb. So I'm just going to stop that for a second. So in a sense, that way you can have your mixer and just sort of paint as you go along. Like, okay, I want a lot of reverb on the drums, a little bit on the bass. You usually don't put a lot of reverb on bass instruments because it tends to muddy things up. There are ways around that. I'll show you that in a second on the reverb side of things. I've already been at 12 minutes, so I'm just going to try and wrap it up because I don't want to be too much longer.
Okay.
I'm going to mute those guys. Let's go to another thing.
Jace, you're running on Windows, aren't you?
No, I'm on Mac.
Oh, you're
Logic
Mac.
is a Mac thing.
So what's the name of the reverb again? What's it called?
I've got 5 that I can show you, including a really cool one that I just got and I'm starting to play around with, and I'm kind of freaked out by it.
Well, aren't we supposed to do this all at the end there, Davo?
Yes, we are. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
Write down your
Whitewash.
question.
Yeah, what I'll do is after I'm done and Krysztof is speaking, I'll see. I've got some links ready that I can throw into chat for some good freebies. Okay, so I'm wondering if I can call forth. All right, let's go back to Bailey here. Let's see. This one's kind of an interesting one. Rome.
Oh, this is the native instrument one.
Yeah, this was free. I believe it's charged now. Can you see the Rome window?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the fun things about Rome, I'll show you in a second. I'm just gonna. There's a snowflake sigil right here. That's a freeze, so it basically takes that signal, and until I run out of power or whatever, it's going to hold that thing in the background. And then I can turn it off. So Rome has some interesting stuff besides that. Some of this is fairly typical. You'll have the amount of reverb. Decay is how long your reverb tail is going to last. So right now I can have it at 7.8 seconds, which is pretty long.
That's one big bedroom.
Yeah, sometimes you want that for effect. Other times it might muddy up the mix again. Damp and high cut. Damp acts like if you were throwing a bunch of velvet curtains around and you're able to cut out a lot of the highs out, and then you can actually even cut the highs from a particular frequency on up, which is kind of cool. You don't often see that on reverbs. Diffusion is kind of how many delays and how they arrive at any one time, and I'll get to that in a second with another plugin. So anyways, Rome was free. It may be free again.
It was a teaser.
It was a teaser.
Yeah. Buy our $1,300 product.
Yeah. I already showed you Reverberate Basic. This is the free version. There's other versions that allow you more control. ACON is great. They sit really well in a mix. Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3. This is the one. Okay.
Oh, this is the monster.
I spent a lot of money on this, but I got it at half price because they always have sales. This is from Melda Productions.
Yeah.
It's an algorithmic reverb in that it uses a mathematical formula to calculate its reverb. And it's got a whole bunch of dials and stuff, and you can have variations on the same thing. Here, let's throw on some stuff here. So it sounds kind of nice. Now, the freaky thing is this is designed to help you build your own reverbs, your own algorithms. So if I go to this very small edit button, all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. I can actually specify which of those reflections, like I said, reverb is a bunch of reflections coming back. I can specify where they occur, how loud each of those reflections are. I can also automate them so that they vary in time. It goes insane. That's not all. An algorithm is basically, okay, I want a delay here, a second delay here, a third delay here, and blah, blah, blah. This program allows you to design your own algorithms. So instead of relying on one that's been pre-made by the company, I can just sort of say, I feel like having a delay going into another delay, and then there's another chain of delays on top of that. And it just gets nuts. And this is where I'm like, wow, I could spend the next 5 hours designing one delay for one part of my song. Or I could go one of the other things that sounds just as good and, save myself a good 3.5, 4.5 hours.
ROI, baby, return on investment.
Oh,
right?
no.
Okay.
We're in trouble already.
I'm going to finish up with one other thing, and this is the one that I just got, and I'm really kind of excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Dang, I wish I could go to the window and show you, but I can't. Well, maybe I can show you from here. Okay, bus 5. Okay, this is a software called Dear VR Pro.
Ooh.
And it's blowing my mind. When you run your send from your channel, you can have that feed come before your volume fader or after,
Okay.
whatever, and that can help you adjust your level of dry to wet if you want. Most times you'll have it so that as you adjust the fader on your particular channel, like as I'm adjusting the loudness of Bailey Melody number 9 on the channel, it'll also affect how much is sent to the reverb. So that way, as you turn down the vocal reverb would also come down. But you
equally
can also
proportioned.
exactly.
Yeah.
But as you, but this one, I have it set so that it is pre-fader, so that no matter what I do on this particular channel, the verb will happen somewhere else. And there's a reason why I did this, and that's because it's effing cool. So that's with a bit of dry and a bit of wet. I'm going to pull down the dry. And that should come up.
Yeah, that's just the reverb.
That's just the reverb. Hang on, I'm gonna have to go to my mixer here. Are you hearing it okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, now here's the freaky part.
Yeah.
And
No,
this is
oh, there it
why I
is.
got
Yeah.
this
Okay.
Can you see the Dear VR thing?
Yeah. Dear VR PM or something.
Yeah. This little person with their headset is where we're listening to.
Oh, spatial stuff. And how much did they ask for this thing?
It depends. Right now it's on sale for $100 minus a $20 coupon that I can send you. So you can actually run it behind you.
Films. This is probably this is film work.
Yeah, exactly. Now it comes with a bunch of different environments that you can send people stuff in. It'll also, and it took me a while to figure this out, it'll actually also do elevations. So in a sense, it'll sound like it's coming from. So
it's a positioning tool.
Yeah, exactly. But in a sense, it takes a reverb environment and positions it around in the environment. You can also automate this using your mixer's automation. So you can just like spin it around if you really want to make someone get seasick listening to a dance track. So anyways, yeah, the sky's the limit.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's super cool.
So like a chopper sound in like, Apocalypse Now or something like that, where it descends, you'd be able to mimic that.
You would. The one thing it won't do is there is still a bit of Doppler effect that you have to compensate for. Like the pitch will vary slightly the closer something gets to you. Like when you're walking on a sidewalk and a car drives by you with the stereo on, you'll hear the pitch sort of thing. That's the Doppler effect. So you do have to try and emulate that. And there's plugins that'll do that as well. But anyways, that's kind of my quick run through
Wow, great.
reverb and several of them. And I've got a bunch of freebie links to show you. Any questions before we hand it over to the mighty Krysztof?
No, that was really good, Jace. Tight.
Yeah.
Tight, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Tight.
really cool.
Brain hurt.
Yeah.
They set
Yeah.
the bar.
Oh boy.
This that Melda plugin where you can
Yeah.
design your own stuff. The manual is like I don't know how many hundreds of pages thick, and a lot of it is just on reverb theory.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot owning the plugin. But anyways, I'll stop sharing for now.
Wow.
Cool.
Really good.
Cool. That was great. Super great.
Krysztof,
Yes, sir.
over to you, my friend.
Over to me, the desktop. Share sound, share. So we are going again back into Logic. I sometimes get myself into sort of reverb spatial spaces. I just keep going and going. And then I record it and it's like that's the sound of that's the reverb and the sound of this sound. And it's kind of like writing it into a room. So I use a lot of reverb sometimes, crazy amounts. But they all impart something spatially that I just find very interesting. So this is the straight loop. Everybody hears fine?
Nope.
No.
It's a great beat, though you can't hear it.
Wait, can you go back to your audio settings?
Yeah.
Output device.
Well
Ah,
Well
done.
done.
Well done.
Prize.
Score. Yeah.
That would help.
That should work.
Thank you. Good eye.
Sharp eyes.
Derek wins the Smart Guy of the Meeting award.
It's an honor.
Okay. Initializing audio. There we go.
And everybody's off.
There we go.
Bingo.
Nice.
It's the vocoder thing.
Ah, cool.
So the first thing oftentimes that I use is I use this plugin here called Aether. And it does well, you can see it's putting it into a spiral staircase. And it does this spatial thing really well. So we'll bring it in. Kind of seems to take up this backside. I'll bring it up. Then I'll solo it.
Oh yeah.
It's got a bit of a delay in it, and then the next one that I brought in because it's the new toy is this guy, which Jason told me about, and this is the Derek. We mentioned this one. This is the one that's being used in film productions, and I think you can get it for $29. Something like that. So I'll bring this guy in. Did you hear that? Change. I'll solo him. It's
Very subtle.
very subtle, but even farther away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the next one that I bring up, which is again another kind of, this isn't in any way the order that I do these things, they all change, is this one called Sonsig. This is by a company called Relab Development, and it has a smoothness to it. I think that I would say it's copying an old digital reverb called QRS. I don't know from when it's from, like the 80s maybe. And I'll solo it. So that's what it's doing. And then the next one, this one's where I start going into a little bit more crazy business. This is a freebie, and we're just gonna. This is a freebie, and what this is it's a no. Ah. And what this one does is it does granular reverb. So it can make very unrealistic spaces sound as if they're a room. Best to hear it. And I'll bring it up. And I'll solo it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of, it's eating itself almost.
Yeah.
And that's just a preset that you're using right now.
Yeah, I just fiddled with the knobs. And the last, well, the second last one is this. This is sort of like your the one that you've got that you showed us from ACON Digital. It's basically a preset-y type thing. This is from Yuhi, and what it does is you just fire off a new model and it goes and creates something and gives it to you, and you say, oh, I like that, save it, or try another one. It's just a random reverb generator. You can't change anything except the decay, you know,
Cool.
how much dry and how much wet. You can save it as a preset, and I save this one as this preset. So
It was basically like a promotion from the company
yeah,
trying to create reverbs for some of their new technology.
yeah. So that's that guy. Okay, so I'm going to stop now because I was going to show this plugin in a bit more detail. This is as Jason was saying with his talk, that the reverbs are created with algorithms. This reverb is created by recording the sound of a room by using what's called an impulse response. So this, you can see the wave here of this impulse response. So what impulse response basically, here's another one. This program allows you to run two room sounds at the same time. This particular impulse response is an impulse response I made of this very room. So this is basically a square room that, you know, 8-foot ceilings, blah, blah, blah. And the way you make that is it's a very straightforward process. Is you need at least one speaker and one microphone and a utility that allows you to do that. And you tell you start the impulse response utility, and it sends out a signal into the room, which the microphone captures and gets recorded into the computer. And then what the impulse response utility does is it takes out the original sound that it put into the room. So it could be a gunshot, or it can be a sweeping sine wave. That is the most common, where it goes beep, and it just takes that out. And then what you're left over is the results of that sound bouncing through this room. So impulse responses allow you to go into your car and get the sound of the car. And then you can apply that reverb or that sound of the car to the dialogue in a film as the two characters are driving in that car. So you can make the sound of the particular space that you want to put.
That's really interesting.
So this is a company that makes this little odd little impulse response. And I've got somebody recorded the sound of a guitar room, who knows where, maybe in Nashville. And then there's the second response is this room. And so I can now balance between those two rooms. So put it somewhere in between this room and that room. I'm gonna solo this guy. So I'm gonna, oh, that's actually just the one. So that's this room. That's the sound of this room. And if I want, I can mix in this guy. I don't know what the balance is. So you could probably get an idea of how, I mean, you can place things in specific situations by recording that situation. There are a couple of companies that take this way of creating reverbs to their maximum. The most popular one, or the biggest one, is, what are they called? Oh, they're from Holland. Do you know them, Jason?
Is this Altiverb?
Altiverb, you got it.
Yeah.
Like, they have it down to, you know, you want a Pinto? You want the sound of the inside of a Pinto? We got you.
Wow, that's amazing.
You know, oh, a bus. What model? And they go all the way around the world, and they've recorded these you know, orchestral halls. So you can basically work on a piece of music and put it into the Concertgebouw, which is, you know, I don't know how long that place and how many symphonies have played in that place.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's the neat thing about you know, this one that I like is you don't have to use the sound of a room. You can go in and you can grab the impulse response or any waveform and apply it. So I'm just gonna go into here. It was something I was gonna try. Oops, there we go. The default and percussions. I just want a sure. Some sort of symbol. So I'm going to apply the symbol as the reverb. What the hell's going to happen here? So we're going to go dry first.
Oh,
Neat.
that's kind of cool.
I mean, it sounds like it's in a room. What type of room? I don't know.
Right.
And you can do that with two. So with this plugin, you can do that. You know, you can put anything in and send it through things. And then just to finish off with this particular plugin, so you've got a number of functions here in terms of manipulating the attack and the decay and the start point of the waveform you're working with. You can EQ things as well for each of the waveforms, and then it gives you some chorusing, delay, and there's a cross modulation thing, so that one of the things about impulse responses is they're a static recording of a sound. They don't change, right? And so what he's done, and why I think this is such a well-regarded plugin, is he allows you to send some of the signal from the one impulse response into the other. So there's a little bit of blendy movement around. So it gives it animates the sound more. So and then yeah, so that's that. And I was just gonna, for the sake of argument, I was going to just play this thing again as the original sound, and then bring in the reverb to kind of give everybody a sense of the space that I'm thinking about. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
So I think that's about it. That pretty well, hopefully it came across on the headphones well enough.
Yeah.
Nicely
Yeah,
done.
it did.
Mhm.
That's some cool stuff. I want them all. I can't afford them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The point is, you can get free and well, that's not the point, but you can still do it. It's just, you just have to use multiple reverbs. You just layer, and that's all that's being done. I mean, this could be recalibrated. Oh, and I did one more thing with this, which was kind of, because if you wanted to start playing around with positioning of reverbs, you can also do that.
Can you animate it?
Oh, it can be totally animated. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did something.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Like it's over here. Okay, and you could do that for all of them, but then the mind would go crazy.
Mad idea.
Yeah. So, oh, I was going to show the really cool freebies. Did people want to see the really cool freebies?
Absolutely.
Oh, I already did Lagrange, which
Yeah.
is a really cool freebie. And then there's this really cool freebie called Riviera. And maybe we'll just use a different sound for that Riviera, and we'll just mute everybody else. I don't know but these people, they go out, get home from work, and they go to their computer, and then they just, I think I'll write a reverb. It's like, here you go.
I'm waiting for the next episode of whatever on Netflix. So while I'm waiting, I guess I'll just whip up a little reverb.
Knock off a reverb, yeah.
This is again is, oh, let's hear this guy. And this is This is chopping up a drum kit in a 2-track edit, like you would do it with tape. Okay, so I have no idea what this setup is for Riviera, so we'll find out. Oh no. There it is. It's reversing the reverb. That's what I did.
It's like chaos.
It's like chaos. But if you put that
Organized chaos.
down low, and you can, I mean, yeah. So basically what it is it's a part. It's connected to the impulse response world. So what I'm thinking is each one of these ones on here, the V's, are all an impulse response, and then you can change what. I have no idea what I'm changing, but I just changed them. And you can, so yeah, and listen and change it again.
Now play it back.
That's it by itself.
That was really cool.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So there's no presets for that, but it looks
No, it doesn't look like it. You just whittle around. Oh no, hang on, there's some fun.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Well, hello there.
Hello, friend.
Do I get the smart person?
I think,
three?
Derek, I think you just lost your spot there.
Oh no.
There's presets.
Number one.
That's it by itself.
No, that's kind of cool.
Oh, neat. Kind
So
of a
does
little
it
flangey thing.
put another preset up, Krysztof, and do the sliders change accordingly?
I think this is the preset that I made.
Oh,
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
That's a really good preset.
Blind luck, baby.
By the way, I'll after this, I'll send everyone all the links to the freebies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I've got. And that's about it. And then you already showed you the proto-verb. Yeah. So that's all I got.
That's what you got.
That's what you got.
That's what you
That's
got.
great.
Okay, stop share. So Dave.
Yeah. Okay. So the irony of it is that I'm definitely the oldest person here and definitely the most non-knowledgeable about what I'm going to present. So I think we're in really good shape. No, seriously. This is about, I've been on this crazy ride with Krysztof as my kind of sensei for the last, I don't know, what, 6 months, Kay?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And man, it has been so much fun. And so I just want to tell you, output device. Okay, here we go. So I just want to tell you a little bit myself. Okay, so I am the oldest person here. I've been surrounded by music all my life. I don't consider myself a musician by any stretch of the imagination, even though I do play a little bit of African hand drums. I co-lead a drum circle, which I love. And so I've always had this kind of feel for rhythm. I picked up a guitar when I was about 40, and I just essentially an open chord wonder. But it's nice to play and, you know, and sing with people. And that sort of thing. But I was always surrounded by music. So my mom used to play piano in the church, and we used to have sing songs when the family would get together. I grew up on a farm in Manitoba. So believe me, there's not much to do in the wintertime but sing around a piano when it's cold and dark. But this whole notion of sound and music has always been really kind of fundamental to who I am. And increasingly, I've always loved music. At one time, I was very attracted to singer-songwriters because I loved the stories that they would tell. But increasingly, I find that I'm really kind of bored with lyrics. Like this happened the last maybe 5 years of my life. I'd like to tell my own story based on the melody or based on the music that I'm hearing. So it kind of all took me in this kind of strange direction. And then I met, Krysztof, Krysztof's partner, Michelle, and my wife, Ginger, share the same vocation. They're potters. So through Michelle, I got to know Krysztof. And, we got talking about this, and he says, well, you got to come up and see my studio. So I went up and I saw the studio and I went, oh my God, this is what I want to do. I want to play with sound. I want to record stuff. I want to stretch it. I want to reverb the shit out of it. I want to delay it. I want to not, sort of to create texture and to create a mood, I guess. So sort of, Krysztof has been great. I use a Mac. By the way, I'm running something called DOS Dude, which again, Krysztof recommended. So I'm running Bitwig, which is my DAW of choice. And I'm running 2 versions beyond what my Mac is capable of supporting. And it's working like a dream. So if you've got a Mac that you want to be able to run software that there's a cutoff or a limit in terms of the operating system, this DOS Dude, this guy is amazing. So if you're going to use it, donate to the guy. He's brilliant. Anyway, so this kind of all took me in this direction of, I guess, shaping, to take sound and shape it in a certain way. And again, Krysztof showed me this thing called Paul Stretch, and I was blown away with this freebie. I don't understand half of it, but I'm absolutely blown away with the fact that you can morph an ordinary sound, something that you hear every day, into something that will scare the shit out of you at night if you listen to it. There are things that you can do to sound that I had no concept of until I started playing around with some of this software. That led me to, again, a conversation with Krysztof, and he said, you really got to try this TS software. And so I downloaded a trial version of it, and I was just about to buy it through Plugin Boutique, and they took it off. So I waited, and I actually wrote the guy and I said, is there any way that I can get this software? And they said, no, the ship has sailed, you're out of luck. I think it was $10. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they issue a new version. So what I'm going to show you right now is just some basics for TS2, which is 2.13. And again, this is a time stretching software. So you can see my screen. I'm going to show you, this is the website. So this is where you can order it. It's actually on sale right now. There's a promo cost for it. Maybe through KVR or through Plugin Boutique or others, it may even go lower than that. I don't know. This is probably the best $50 that I've spent in a long time. Actually, it's 70 when it comes out, because this is an American price, obviously. But it's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to commit the ultimate sin, Krysztof. I'm actually going to show you more than I was planning on showing you. So let's go. So you go File, New Document. And I can't do that because I can't see anything. Let's go. How come it didn't bring up my screen? Okay, so I got to go back down. New Document. I recorded some stuff just around the house a couple days ago. One of the cool samples that I put in was a kettle. So essentially the kettle is, well, I'll play it for you. I'll play the clip for you. And then, can you hear it? Okay, so that's the flints clicking. Now we've got some action happening. It's actually boiling, but let's go to the end. And we've got a kettle that's boiling. Okay, so that's the clip that we're going to use. And I'm going to concentrate on the back end here. So the cool thing about TS2 is that it's also a good little editor, Krysztof. So I was playing around with this today. So, and this is what I mean, I may get myself in trouble because I'm actually doing something live on a demo. Okay, so split. Okay. So that's what we're going to deal with. Ta-da! We're just going to loop that part there. Sensei, are you impressed or not? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're actually, because it's a neat little editor, we're going to take it and we're going to fade it in and fade it out. Okay. So there's the clip that we're going to work on. Now that is exciting. Okay, to the software. Software is composed of essentially 3 screens. You're seeing one of the screens here on the bottom, which is the sonogram. The top is the clip. You can see the, I guess, the frequency response of that clip. And the other part is an animation frame. So Krysztof's not a big fan of the sonogram, so we're going to turn that off. So, but anyway, this is the control for the sonogram. So you can change the analysis, you can change the color, you can change the, the blur effect of it. We're not going to get into that very much. This is the meat. So you can transpose that. You can change the format. You can change the fundamentals, or you can change the stretch. So I'm just going to do some stuff on the fly here. So I slowed her down. Then you can play around with the transposition. Then there's remix functions here too. So you can change the sinus if you want. So it's just a great sound shaping tool. Change the error level. You want a little more blurry. And again, then talk about hours of crazy entertainment. So what we got here is something that doesn't sound like a kettle anymore. It gets better. You can also automate it. So the automation is, you can turn it off, turn it on. You change the format, change the opacity of the curves. Suppose we want to just take the format and let's start here. We could start somewhere else. And let's just drop her right down. I'm going to bring it up. Let's listen to it. We got another thing here, which is we can change the volume if we want. Let's play around with the stretch a little bit. And I know it's the stretch because it's got a little pink dot here. There's my pink dot. And let's transpose it as well. So it doesn't sound like a kettle anymore, does it? It gets better. You can add some of Krysztof's crazy plugins here if you wanted to, and Jason's crazy plugins. So I love Supermassive. It's a great delay. So the bottom line is you could spend hours just playing around creating ambient textures. And that's what I think is so cool about this hobby, is that you can take something that is relatively benign, like starting a car and recording the sound of an engine, driving it through something like this, and using that as a basis for composition. And let's maybe pan a little bit too while we're at it. You turn them all off if you want. That's it. $50, probably the best $50 you can spend. And
That was so.
yeah, sorry, Derek.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that was so cool. It doesn't even sound like a kettle anymore.
No.
Especially the beginning part.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like a drone or something, like an
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
An alien drone, the attack.
And it'll also increase your stretch too. Sorry, decrease your stretch. So you can, I think, drive it to, I think it's 0.25. So it'll increase the speed. And there's also a fixture here, which is insane, which is called extra stretch. So you can go like 100 times. So, you know, you could go out and, you know, go for dinner and come back and it's still playing the same clip if you wanted. It's pretty crazy. But Paul stretch, I think Krysztof even goes longer than TS, doesn't it? Like it goes...
it does, but it's Paul's stretch is really designed for extreme stuff.
Yeah.
Like 800 times, I think.
Something ridiculous. Yeah, I think there was somebody Paul stretched a Justin Bieber song, and it was a couple of weeks of playing.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, but yeah, the thing about one of there is a difference between those two, and this one is this is connected to I guess it's an institute, isn't it? IRCAM Labs is an institute of the French government. For sound. And this stuff, I've used the previous version, TS1, to, you know, just change the pitch of a voice, and it will keep it sounds natural. It sounds like, you know, a woman with a deeper voice. So it's very good at really doing, what's the word? Realistic pitch shifting as well. It has that range. So. Great.
I threw in the links, including the link to, it is still on sale as far as I can tell. So I threw in the link for it as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah. It's this is kind of compared to the Paul stretch. This is there's a kind of beautiful quality to the tone that it makes.
And it's so intuitive. Like they've really done a good job with the user interface, I find. And this is from somebody who's a complete noob. And I was also going through the documentation because I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive on it. And the documentation is excellent as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
That can actually make or break something, actually.
It's concise and it's very well written.
Nice.
No, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. And we just scratched the surface in terms of, but not really, you know, that's essentially what it does. I think, so, you know, you can play around with the fundamental. We didn't horse around with that, but
they also have implemented MIDI in some form, and I'm not sure whether you could whether you could use this as a 2-track performance app and then change the format on the fly.
That'd be cool.
So MIDI
is
implemented somehow. I don't know how.
Yeah, on the bottom here there are.
Oh, there's all the MIDI.
So essentially, it's I guess you can map it.
Yeah, so you can do pitch shifting and transposition format.
Panning.
Panning.
Yeah.
Remixing the stretch.
Yep.
So there, you know.
And I don't know what ripple, I don't know what snap means. It's something about the grid, I guess, maybe, or something like that. I don't know. What's ripple mean? Apart from a horrible wine that
ripple is, so you've got you see this in video editing software as well. So you've got a bunch of clips arranged in a row, and you need to move one. Ripple will sort of ripple the effect of what you're doing to the rest of the ones, as opposed to just affecting the one clip.
Good point, because so what you can do is you can just stack clips with this. So you can bring in one, you bring in another one, bring in another one, you can fade them in and fade them out. And I imagine the rippling effect would be between the clips.
Yeah. So that way you can sort of drag it and it all stays like cohesively as a clump of bits. So I am guessing that's what ripple means in this context as well. So
yeah, I haven't looked into rippling, so I will look into it. Dave and I have been working on this one thing as well, just playing around, learning it, and yeah, it's pretty neat.
It is
pretty
so
neat
cool.
program.
It does look impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we go on to the topic? There's a topic, they say?
There's a topic, they say?
Oh yeah, the topic, said Jason, not at all, fumbling for his email.
One reason actually why I thought of this topic was because of Deirdre and the thing that she did. Maybe we could start with that. Do you guys want to watch that? Where is she? Where'd she go? She might have gone to Safari. Ah, there she is. So,
I stopped sharing my screen, Sport.
Okay, Sport. Oh, there it is. Share screen. Yes, share computer sound. Thank you. So she's the album that Jason mentioned she used a lot of sounds that she found around, I guess Halifax she was out east. I'm assuming it was Halifax. She used a lot of sounds from going out with your recorder. Yeah. So let's go full screen. Oops, sorry.
Well done, Deirdre.
Cool.
Um,
Soundtrack.
The soundtrack of nature.
That was so immersive.
Yeah. So that was what kind of, because Deirdre was going to show up, I thought, well, let's make this out of the topic sound in nature, and then we could show this to people. And I guess that's the topic, is how the sound in nature direct you, or how does it speak to you? Who's
I'm
first?
at a loss. That is such a profound question.
I guess there's sort of the direct and then the abstract. The direct being, because I do a lot of percussion, I always hear rhythm. So even in like a bird song or a tree branch knocking against another in the wind might suggest a particular kind of rhythm that I might not have thought of or whatnot. But then there's these sort of abstract, like when wind hits leaves of a tree, you've got all these individual things hitting each other in this sort of chaotic thing that's really only discernible in waves. And what could I do with the tools I've got to try and emulate that same sort of effect of a bunch of small things blending together in waves of sound?
So you're hearing the sounds in a kind of a compositional sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just like, awesome, I'm not stuck in my apartment and I'm out and boy, this feels great. But yeah, sometimes if I'm more artistically focused or whatever.
We have birds in the back, and I listen to their singy songs, and I can't compete. It's just like, I got nothing. And I try and hear them and sing them. I think one of the things that strikes me about the whole thing about sound of nature is that as urban people, we hear less of that sound quality, and yet as a species that has been here for so many thousands and thousands of years, listening in nature, there's an incredible unnoticed familiarity with everything, and I think for me, there's a part of paying attention to that sound and giving it not just this thing that genetically is embedded into, my species DNA, that it's to consciously listen for it. Pretty well everything that I do in terms of music writing has got a bird in it, recorded somewhere. There's always a bird in there.
Cool.
or some sort of animal gnawing on a piece of bark. It's one of the things that's always been interesting for me to think about was, if you're walking through the woods and you step on a twig and it cracks, it sounds like it's supposed to be. It sounds that step, crack, okay. But yet in many ways, the sounds that the humans produce are incredibly jarring. But they're, the sounds in nature are no less random than the sounds that humans make, but they're not jarring. They don't elicit that feeling, at least for me. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
I think, you know, artists that do really good field recordings, I'm thinking about Biosphere, amazing guy. To take that and use that as the basis for something that is compelling musically is a real challenge. Because you've got to marry that subtlety. You have to pay particular attention to the authenticity of that sound, yet to bring it in kind of into the musical realm and give it a tempo and a little more structure. I think that's a real challenge to take natural sounds and make what we deem as music out of that.
I don't know of anybody who really does that in any real.
He's good. Like
who is it?
It's a guy called Biosphere. He's Scandinavian.
Biosphere.
Yeah, brilliant.
If you have any questions about music of different bands, the guy in the blue, yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, and you know what? Just to marry my presentation in this conversation, that's it's sort of what Jason was talking about, is that I hear music everywhere. Like I hear it when I walk down the street. You know, we live in largely an anthropocentric environment, so what I hear is a lot of man-made sounds. If I was walking in nature, I'd probably hear music in that as well, but probably not to the same extent, because I think that there's something about man-made sounds which are more syncopated, are more rhythmic, less chaotic, and that's what I mean by the brilliance of somebody who can take field recordings and meld them into some kind of harmonic structure or rhythmic structure. I think they're brilliant.
How about yourself, Derek?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think, especially when you're out in nature, even when there's nothing going on, everything's still, there's still so many details and specific sounds going on. And if you pay attention to them, they really build an atmosphere. Like even if you're surrounded by trees in a forest, there's like crickets, the leaves rustling, the water flowing. And I think if you bring that into a musical space, you can just think about how things are in nature and try to fill up every space of the soundscape, and not just building a song, but actually filling every part of the panning and space, the spatial environment.
Yeah.
Especially in film, if you're trying to convey a location, for example, you need as many of those details as possible, not just through quality, but also sound design.
Totally.
It's almost like nature is the composer.
Yeah.
It's like it's an ambient flow, as opposed to chorus, verse, bridge. Yeah.
So nature is the original composer, and sound designers can be seen as the cover band.
Exactly.
Poor cover band. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've been listening to nature longer than we've been listening to our own created sounds, our all composed sounds, way longer. So it's embedded so deeply in us that we don't even hear it or don't even notice it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And since we kind of just tune it out, since it's always there, kind of like our nose, we don't really see our nose, even though it's always there.
It's right there in the middle.
It's the same if you're in a quiet space. There's always something going on. Yeah. And none of us, well, most people haven't actually ever heard a complete silence.
Yeah. I think you have to go into one of those chambers, don't you?
Yeah.
Anechoic.
Yeah.
I had a friend who had to do a recording where they had to go into the NRC. They have an anechoic chamber, and he said it was the weirdest thing because I guess it's like a platform that goes out into the room, so you're surrounded by all these things. And he said he got vertigo just standing because he lost all point of reference. And I guess there's just subtle cues we have of like even the sound of our breathing bouncing off the floor or something to help us orient in space that he wasn't aware of before. Like he said he had to like kneel down on the ground a couple of times because he was just like, okay, I've totally lost where up is and whatnot.
Wow.
So
that takes us back to reverb, which is what reverb really is putting the sound into a space.
Yeah.
And our ears only work in response, right? They're a response organ, and it gives us. I imagine us, you know, as a species walking through just sheer wilderness and getting our sense of place by just hearing it, not noticing that we're hearing it, but recognizing these subtle differences of sound coming from the topography and everything, and the trees and the bushes, and being able to use that subliminal reference to, you know, navigate around. So yeah, space, reverb.
Coming full circle, baby.
Nicely done. Just tie everything together.
So any other topics? No?
Do we have time for one more presentation, or is there more?
One more presentation?
Do you have a presentation on deck,
You
Derek?
got
Something, Derek?
It's not really a presentation. I just want to show something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, bring it on. Yeah.
Okay, great.